Hello, everybody. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. Today is Election Day 2020. And what you might not know is that Election Day in 2008 was my move day. That's the day that I moved from Hobbs to Midland and never went back to Hobbs last day in that home. And the way that worked is, I had a relocation company, was part of the contract with the relocation with my company DCP Midstream, and they're the one that laid this out. And they said, here's what we're going to do. We got pack day, load day, and move day. And so they come in one day and have crews and they come in with their paper and their boxes, and they packed the whole house up in one day. The next day they showed up with the truck, okay, and so there was load day, and so everything we had packed up in the house, and then move day was the day that that it was actually moved to Midland and then put in this house, and then I never went back, and so an extremely busy day. I didn't vote in the election. That's when Obama won the election in 2008. I didn't get here till Midland until late that night, and as I said, I never went back. And so I just want to talk about that, how I got here, and from that point here. First of all, I'm going to show you, this is my Hobbs home, 7611 Rolling Meadows, and now looking back, I believe that this home was rigged, like this one in Midland, and like the many other homes where the owners have reported people in the attic, and most likely a tunnel come from that house over there. Both these homes were built by my first in-laws, and I've suspected that they're the ones that put it in, and had tricked and trapped me many years ago, and then set me up to torture till death. And so what happened was my to-be supervisor, Dane Wiggins, come to me and asked me if I would look at a job here in Midland, and because they were creating a new group in our SCADA group, and I was happy in Hobbs. I worked in IT, and I looked at it. It wasn't a promotion. I didn't bid on it. He come back to me and says, asked me why, and I said, well, that's a big deal moving from your home, and I'm happy here in Hobbs, and it's not even a promotion. So he went back to HR, had the job changed to a promotion just for me, and then rebid the job, and then I talked to family and friends, and I think that's a great idea. And most of them, the ones have turned their back on me, now that I live under threat of death, crippled, and now been given a death sentence, and I look back and I'm thinking, it was all part of the trickery, is what it was, the scheming against me, and I fell right for it. I mean, who would think that your own family would be, conniving, be scheming against you, but it looks like that's what was going on, sadly. I'm very sad to say that, but that's what it looks like. So anyways, I made the life-changing decision to move to, out of town from hometown, new job, with hope and excitement, I spent my life savings on this home here in Midland, and so, it was a new adventure, and I was excited. A lot of things had happened. My daughters had been living there and with me in Hobbs. They had both just moved out. And so I was an empty nester at the time, and parents that have been there and understand how that feels, And so anyway, a guy at work, Kurt Westerman, he comes by, and he's a salesman, and he was from this area here in Midland, and his friend had a home on Todd Rd that wanted to sell for sale by owner. I'm going to show you a picture of that. This is this home right here, okay? So I drove over there, and I met Greg Harris at this home on Todd Rd, and we looked at it, and I told him, I've already signed the contract. My home is a guaranteed sale, in Hobbs, and as soon as it sells, then I was going to take my equity out, my cash, and I was going to pay cash for this home, and buy his home without a realtor, and so we had a handshake deal. I was moving from Hobbs to here, and so I was remodeling my Hobbs home, getting it ready to sell because I was going to make more money, more I sold it for, and then I was coming over here, and I was going to buy that home right there. Well, a couple of weeks before I'm ready to move, Greg tells me he sold it to somebody else, and I'm just like, man, that at that point I was homeless, I was moving, didn't have a place to go, literally, and I had no choice. It was, I'd already signed papers at work and everything. And I felt like somebody had sabotaged my deal. Nobody knew about it. There was no for sale signs, nothing, and he told me this guy just comes to the door, knocks on the door, and offers a little bit more in cash money than we had agreed upon. Like somebody had been listening to my phone calls, or maybe they were, possibly, I had been sharing that information with my family and friends, and maybe my family and friends told somebody, and that's where this deal was sabotaged. So that's what forced me to get, to find a realtor and to get into the house that I bought on Fair Circle, and that was Janine Pruitt. She took me around and showed me about, I don't know, about a half dozen houses. They were all in bad shape. This was the only halfway decent one, and we could only look at the outside. She somehow knew it was going to come on the market before it's listed on the market. She told me that Mike and Sarah were going through a divorce. Mike, was incarcerated for drugs. I had no reason to, suspect, that he was going to be murdered, and it was all part of the plan because they had chosen me to buy this house, and she ends up dropping the price $35,000 and tells my realtor, asks if I will buy it. I'd already walked away from negotiations. Actually, when I made the offer, Mike Lawhon was still alive, and then it was just too much, so I walked away, and then he dies, on the 12th. These pictures were taken on the 1st. And then Sarah comes in there and is going to drop the price. So I will, agree to it, and then the ex-wife later told me, you were chosen to buy this home. Another thing that she said here, which I think is interesting, is I remember her telling me, think back to when you first moved in, as in there was clues, into this house being rigged with the hidden access, so they could torture and murder, one homeowner after another, etc. Maybe close the murder of Mike Lawhon, the things that they do here in Midland using corrupt police and the press, and how they steal property and life insurance and, and murder innocent people and trick and trap them, with these hidden homes. And so anyways, that's why I'm going to go over these pictures. I'm going to show you, we're looking back. All these pictures were taken on October 1st, 2008, my first day to look at this home with the realtor. And of course, that Mike was still alive. He died on the 12th, 12 days later. And then that's when Sarah dropped the money. And then I met the home inspector here on the 28th. And my first night to sleep here was on Halloween, October 31st. I still had the Hobbs home though. And so my like I said, pack day, load day, mood day was on election day. And that's when I moved here. Okay. So I want to show you the aerial view here. I've got this map. I showed it before. It's my dated map. Go to Google Earth and you can look this up. Okay. And I'm in this is my home right here, 3802 Fair Circle. This is one I built. And this picture's dated on December 2009. So I was already living here then. This one here, which is blurry because of technology and old pictures, was dated before I moved here because it was in March 2008. And I didn't get here till November 2008. And the reason I was showing this because the suspected tunnel entrance in the neighbor's backyard is not there in March 2008, and then of course Mike dies in October, 7 months later, Mike dies, and then the next picture we have, the suspected tunnel entrance is there, okay? And in the backyards where it's believed the underground home is, the 3-bedroom, $1 million underground home is hidden under the backyard. And then here we see it on 2014. Of course, this was after I was crippled for life, lost my career, my life had destroyed, and living under the threat of death, which is still happening to this day, okay? It's still there, okay? And I'm making a big deal of it. I'm finding these pictures on Google Maps saying somebody tried to murder me in my home. I'm paying, offering a reward to get the secret police identified that were caught, on camera covering up this capital attempted murder. But that's when it was taken out, the underground entrance. So I wonder if the underground entrance didn't go over, here over to the underground home here, and that could connect into the attic. There was another suspected tunnel entrance over here where this live tree's taken out. Notice the trees here, it's gone there. So at the same time this was taken out, that live tree was taken out. Both of them suspect a tunnel entrance. But let's look at the pictures, and that's what this is about, on looking back and seeing what I could see from the first day, okay? And I'm just going to start here with the bedroom picture, okay? This one is my bedroom, October 1st, 2008. Remember, Mike Lawhon's still alive. And before I had agreed, made a deal before he died. Okay. And what I want to show in this picture is on this wall is an intercom system. Well, this is a little bitty house. I call it little bitty. You know, I don't know, 1,800, 1,600, however many square foot, but it's not real big, 3-bedroom. And you know, so I think it's real odd that you have an intercom system when all you have to do is go, hey, what's for supper? And they can, you know, yell back at you. I mean, you know, this is not like a big house, but they have an intercom system. I wondered if this intercom system at one time wasn't put in because the 3-bedroom underground home. And that's why they had an intercom system, so they could talk to the people in the underground home, okay? And so I just want to show you that. Also, you can see here the half-finished projects all over this house, you know, see where the paint job, and this, you know, I don't know if the room was painted or if the ceiling was painted there that caused that in the master bedroom. This is the next picture over it. This is the concrete wall that is outside my garage, which would be the west wall. And I want to show you here that they see this gap, and you could tell it. I don't have the full picture of the wall, but if you backed up and looked at it, this wall had been knocked down, had fell down, and had been put up, and they did a sloppy job of putting it up, and that's why it's leaned out there. I had it repaired. We tore this whole wall down and rebuilt this and rebuilt it, but that's how it was when I bought the house, okay? And so I later come back, especially after I figured out people get in the attic, and you know, one of the trickeries, you know, one of the excuses how they cover up these crimes, the burglary, thefts, and murders, and, you know, rigging these homes and all that, is going, well, you know, maybe there's animals in the attic, you know? And so I had a piece of angle bar here. It was actually aluminum angle bar that I had mounted up here to close this gap up, okay? And because there actually was a squirrel that was climbing up here, getting in the attic, and had a nest up there in the attic there above the garage. And I cleaned all that out and I closed that up, because in a normal attic, you wouldn't have, rodents can't get in there because it's sealed off. But this one, because of that gap, it did allow that. And so I wanted to eliminate that so nobody could say, oh, no, what you're hearing is rodents in the attic. No, I saw a person in my attic. I know for a fact it was a young Hispanic guy. I was shot. You know, I know rodents don't carry guns and shoot homeowners, you know. I mean, they said I'll burglar them. They're hacking cameras, you know, hacking security cameras. So anyway, I just want to show you that. Anyway, I'm in the hospital after I'm shot for 10 days, and when I get home, this angle bar that I had up there was laying on the ground. So, you know, while I was the 10 days I was in the hospital, they took that off, you know, and like I said, because that was part of their excuse making, and, you know, on this murderous crime ring, you know, that's tricking people into rigging, you know, buying these homes and then killing them and then stealing their life insurance and their property and stuff. And so anyway, this is my front patio, okay, outside of the front of my house. And the one reason I just have this picture taken in here is because Ken Slager one day at work mentioned, I remember when that front patio wood deck was put in this wood deck. And so I don't know if under there, you know, was happens to be, you know, part of the underground home or whatever. I just know that Ken mentioned that. And Ken, I've long felt like he knows what's going on here. He lived at the house across the street from me, 3803, before I moved here, and he worked for my company. He was a commercial director for my company, DCV Midstream. Got laid off after I was shot. I thought that was probably connected too. But anyway, his group took care of the booth at the oil show, which I think is very, very interesting, since in my backyard's believed to be an underground home where they're hosting oil show parties and where that little girl was murdered at in 2010. So Ken mentioned this deck, and that's one reason I put it in there. Maybe it has some kind of play into this, you know. Okay, this picture is in the garage that I took. And of course, this is my first day to look at the house. And here you see this sheetrock leaned up against the wall. Well, there's a huge hole on the back of there. You know, I don't know if that, you know, of course, it's a standard, best I can tell, it's a standard wall. It's only, you know, 6 inches thick or whatever. So there's not enough space to crawl back there that I can see. But for some reason, there was a big wall there, and it was hidden by that sheetrock. It's actually still there. That's something I never repaired in the garage. This is the front door in the hallway, and I want to show you some very odd things that were happening when I first bought this house. One, all the trim is gone on the door and all the trim down the bottom. And here this wood floor had just been laid. I actually took it out after I first moved in. Also behind this cabinet was another huge hole in the wall. Unexplained, don't know why, you know. But one thing I think here, I pulled that out. I wondered if concrete hadn't been poured there, and that's why all that trim was pulled up, and that's why they had to pull that out. And then right before I come in, they were laying that wood down, and they never finished the project or whatever, you know. But the reason that the floor was like it was, and the reason the trim's off is because of the floor, and the reason the floor might be is because they had the concrete busted out and they were underneath there, you know. When I first moved in here, you know, I come in like a whirlwind, painted the entire home and recarpeted the entire house. And I had carpet laid here. I did this all in the first 2 weeks before I had to go to work. I mean, I come in a real fast remodel job so I could get this home ready to live in before I had to start work. And that's what I was doing, you know, there, you know, after my move day was coming in, and it was October 31st, Halloween, first night to sleep here, and that's when I started coming in doing the remodeling, and I still had my Hobbs home. And then election day, which was, I think that year, November 6th, my birthday, then was my last day. Okay, let's look at the next picture. This is the kitchen. This was one I show many times. And the reason I do is because this is the utility room door to the garage, the back door. And the doorknob is there. And that's important because 28 days later, I met the home inspector here, Perkins Brazier. We found a hole there where the doorknob was. So that was proof. That's on the home inspection report. So that's proof that somebody brute force entered, kicked in that door during this month. Okay. And Mike Lawhon died on the 12th. I long thought what happened was his killers come in that garage, which was rigged. I have a video on that. And then come that back door. He had the door locked and they kicked the door in. And then they came in, chased him down, held him down, injected him with a lethal dose of the, you know, Darvocet or whatever, and then they took him to Fort Worth because the next week was the oil show, you know, and then they were selling the home to the next unsuspecting victim so they could torture and murder me, you know, get busy on that, using these corrupt police that steal evidence and lie on police reports, sneak into homes and all that. And so I want to show this picture. And then also Ken Slager mentioned, I remember when that gas stovetop was put in. And I've wondered, you know, once again, because I think Ken Slager knows about this home being rigged for the crimes here, for the underground facility in the backyard and all that, that maybe the gas putting in the gas stove and even the gas pipe. I showed a video out there where the gas pipe coming in the house is like a 1 3/4 inch pipe, just exceedingly huge for any kind of home service, you know. And so the question's been asked if that was done as part of taking gas under the ground, so free gas, you know, for the underground homes, etc. You know. And I'm gonna show you a little bit more about that here in a minute. Okay. And so here in the living room, this is weird. Okay, one, we'll start with this fireplace. They were burning wood in there, but it was popped up for gas. So after I got here, I cleaned all that out and I bought some some gas logs, and I went to start it, and I never could get gas to come out the valve. Okay, and I've been up in the attic right up in here, and the pipe goes down there, but the gas, you open the valve and the gas never comes up. So my fireplace has never been lit since I've lived here. Okay, that's because I couldn't get gas out. Okay, and I've wondered if the pipe inside the wall was cut and they went down underground so they would have gas underneath here, you know, for the underground homes, bunkers, etc. And you know, and that's part of the theft of services and all that they're taking gas, and that's where it's run, and that's why once it's cut, it doesn't go to the fireplace no longer, and that's why it doesn't work. I don't know that, but that's one guess. And also on the sides of this fireplace was plenty of room to create a crawl space to go from underground up into the attic, and that's another possibility. It's not that saying that's where it is, but that's one of the possible places where it could happen. we know they're getting in the attic, and we know they're not coming in the door, so they're coming in a wall somewhere, that's for sure. Also, here, this beautiful rock, fireplace had been painted with white paint, ugly, why, and I think maybe I wondered if somebody had been shot there and his blood splatter, okay, and because I found what looked like a bullet hole. I remember telling my mom on the phone one day, it looked like a bullet hole, Mom. She said, maybe it was, and then this rug here, he had this huge stain, I mean, giant, ugly stain under. Of course, I didn't see it, when I took this picture, not until I bought the house and I moved the rug did I see this huge stain. But I was replacing all the entire carpet within a week or 2 weeks. I had to paint the whole house first, and fix all the holes in the walls and the many holes in the walls, because there's a large hole behind this cabinet, and this cabinet held a large hole there, and so that's what I wondered. I wondered if Rini Escobar Sanchez wasn't here, shot, the bullet hole went there and he fell there, and that's why they had the big blood stain there. Because Michael Ahan was overdosed, so you wouldn't have blood, right? But Marilyn DeLuigi, the neighbor that lived in Ken Slager's house, Ken Slager, that's the house she bought. She's the one that told me Michael Ahan, the previous owner, died in this house. She told me twice. One time she says, I should know, right? She totally convincing. Absolutely, Mike died here, but his death certificate says he died in Fort Worth, And then, of course, the Odessa American posted a death notice saying he died in Fort Worth, and then 4 days later they posted a second death notice, changed the location of death, say he died at his residence. So obviously Mike was killed here, but not by being shot. That wouldn't cause any kind of blood stain under here. And and I don't have proof that was blood, but I'm just looking back. I'm thinking, I wonder. And she said, but somebody else died there first. And so maybe the reason I say guessing it's Rini, because he went missing from Odessa 3 months before Mike died. And also, Aaron Packelhofer asked me if I knew the 4 names or the names of the 4 people had been murdered, died in my house, and I have a print screen on that. And so maybe here's another living room picture. And here's a little ladder right here, about, leaned up against the wall. And, that's the other thing I thought. I wonder if that ladder wasn't, used to go underground, maybe in that hallway, where they'd pull the floor. Actually, this was part of that wood. See, all that was new, and it's now carpet. But that's where they had taken the trim all the way down the hallway, all the way out, where it exposed it to the concrete. And they had just laid it in, but they never finished the project, And then once again, here's the rug, that had the huge a stain on it, and so here, this is in the bathroom, master bathroom, in my bathroom, and you can see the paper on the wall half torn off, and that's what I found all over this house, with these half finished projects like this. That's when I bought it. That's what this house looked like. It was a fixer upper for sure. This is in the backyard, this picture, okay, and there's 2 things I want to show you. One, I want to show you can see here that mortar problem on the bricks right there where the mortars broke, okay? And a contractor told me it come from a foundation problem. So, obviously it's come from digging under the home, and the home dropped or settled the foundation, and that's what broke the mortar joints between the bricks, okay? Another house over there on Westmont Court, around the corner, half block away, has the empty lot where I suspected one of the other underground homes had a mortar problem like my home. Once again, I wonder if it wasn't dug over. And then a home on Fairgreen Court over there by that church, by the Fairmont Park Church of Christ, it also had a mortar problem, and both them other homes had water wells. And there was a water well, and my neighbor has it in this way in the backyard, right on the other side of the fence going that way is a water well. And so water well, mortar joints, and that's where I'm thinking that's connected where the underground homes are at, because it's believed in this area is where the underground home was at. Is that 3-bedroom, 25-foot deep, costs $1 million a piece, etc. Okay, I want to show you this fence. Okay, you can tell that this was just a normal fence at one time. They turned it into a gate, and they didn't even do a good job at it. Okay, and so you can see how this board and this board don't line up, right? Underneath here is these weird buried concretes on the outside. And I've showed them in pictures before because I suspected maybe the tunnel there. Actually, there's an old satellite map. Looks like a tunnel goes right there to that southeast corner. And that's where them weird buried concrete blocks are at. Well, I come in here, and this was, since this wasn't
I just took a section out and I replaced it with fence. I put it back like it was originally, but sometime in the past that was done. And I think maybe that's connected to the rigging of this home, where they can, trick and trap and murder people. Okay. And I'm going to show you here. This is the coax cable from that runs from the Suddenlink or whatever, goes up in the attic, goes to all the rooms and all that, and it's laying down here. They took the attic vent off. Okay, but what's odd is, and I've been in the attic many times, is that new coax cable was pulled to all the rooms, and I don't know why, because the old coax is still there and bundled up, and why they pulled one coax but a new coax, I don't know, but it might have something to do with rigging this home and the crimes here. I don't know that. I just know that's one thing. Okay, this one's real odd. Okay, if you look close, and you have to look where it's indented right there behind the chimney on the roof. Well, the roof was caved in, okay, when I first moved in there. And the home inspector got here on the 28th. We went up inside the attic, and we found that the support bracket under holding the roof up had been taken down, right? And now that, you got to admit, that's bizarre, right? I mean, why would they do that, And once again, I think something to do with, rigging this home with this hidden access is the reason it was. And here, once again, the fireplace chimney stack, that's where I said there's enough room on the one side for a man to crawl through. Because see, a normal wall, there's not enough space for a person to crawl from the ground up. There's only a few places in a home where there is enough space, and one of those spaces in this home is in that chimney stack, and I've made videos about that before, but I just want to show you the roof was caved in on that picture, and it very, very possibly connected to rigging this home. This picture is the utility room where I was ambushed and shot with burglar alarms going off my attic. Somebody under my home, and actually the cabinet is this direction. It's on the other side of the washer and dryer. Here's washer and dryer, and possibly when I walked in that room, I set my shotgun up here on top of here and went to unlock that door, because the garage door's over here. That's where remember the doorknob was kicked out. But I took a step and boom, I fell to the ground because somebody was underneath the cabinet. That obviously that was the rigged trap door that the ex-wife had told me about, and then I fell to the ground and crawled out. Okay. Well, I just want to show you this room on the utility room. You can see where the spray is on this windowsill. And, like that sprayed texture. The ceiling of this room, half of the texture was missing, off of the ceiling for some unknown reason, like they had taken that part of the roof off, for whatever reason. Maybe, I wonder, did they drop a crane down underneath, or something? I mean, I don't know why they would do that. I just know it is that way, and I'm on after the fact, trying to figure this out, before they finally do, kill me as promised. And it looks like they have. My doctor told me, that I was going to die, and I've been, I was telling Kreiner and the Rangers that they're poisoning me. They're putting this poison gas in my house. I've sent him all these records. We got to do something to stop these killers. But anyways, here's the utility room that I was shot from. Okay, and then here this is the last picture here, the west bedroom. And the only reason I wanted to take this, I don't even have a picture of it, but on this wall, which is on the north wall in that room, it looked like somebody had took a gallon of paint, threw it up on the wall, and walked away. It was just bizarre. I mean, I sanded and sanded and sanded on that wall after, because I'm remodeling. I'm getting ready to paint the whole thing and, ceiling, walls, paint everything, and then recarpet the whole house, all within 2 or 3 weeks before I start work. I only had so much time. And also in this picture, I want to show you up here, they had window break detectors. This whole house had this system. I'm trying to think what it was. It's not Vivint. It was that older famous type of security system, but they had the security system here, and that's the other thing that that this crime ring that's rigging not just my home but homes all over the place. Right? People have been reporting documented reporting people in the attic all over Midland, Odessa. The press and the police have been hiding these crimes from the public, and that allows a steady stream of unsuspecting victims, of people that have life insurance that they can murder and steal their property from. And that's how the press and these corrupt police are working with organized crime and rigging these homes with this hidden access. But anyways, that part of this is they're amazingly that they're tampering with the alarm systems, or they're hacking them, and that's what I proved. They hacking my security systems here, and I believe they even hacked my Vivint system, even though Vivint did dispatch the police to my attic twice. But that was only after I called them and said, hey, your system isn't going off. My other systems are going off and your system isn't. So I've long believed that they could hack these third-party national systems like the Vivint, and I can't remember what the other one is. It's not McAfee. It's another name for the original security system that Mike Lawhon and them had all through this house. And I recently was told that Mike was telling his friends people were breaking this house before he died too. Literally killing one homeowner after another here. Well, anyway, I thought y'all might find this interesting. Here, y'all go vote.